Hello everyone, my name is Dr. T.S. Kurne, Department of Statistics, Rajarshi Chhatrapati Shahu College, Kolhapur. Last lecture, we have seen that the splitting of sum of square in RBD. Now the splitting of RBD, splitting of total sum of square is sum of square due to the treatment plus sum of square due to the block plus sum of square due to the error. Now we find each of the sum of square degrees of freedom. So first, the total sum of square is given by double summation yij minus y double dot bar bracket square. This term is computed from b equal to n observations, which satisfies the constraint given by double summation yij y double dot bar is equal to 0. Therefore, the degrees of freedom for the total sum of square is n minus 1, or n is replaced by bv, so it is bv minus 1. Now the degrees of freedom for sum of square due to the treatment is, the sum of square of treatment is given by summation over I b bracket in bracket yi dot bar minus y double dot bar bracket square, and this term is computed from b units, so it satisfied the constraint given by the summation over I by I dot bar minus y double dot bar is equal to 0. Therefore, the degrees of freedom for this sum of square due to the treatment is v minus 1. Now next, degrees of freedom for a sum of square due to the block. So formula for the sum of square for the block is summation over j v into in bracket y dot j bar minus y double dot bar square, and this term is computed from b units and which satisfy the constraint which is given by summation over j y dot j bar minus y double dot bar is equal to 0, and therefore the degrees of freedom for this sum of square due to this block is b minus 1. So last is the degrees of freedom for the error sum of square. Now the formula for sum of square due to the error is double summation yij minus yi dot bar minus y dot j bar plus y double dot bar bracket square. The degrees of freedom of total sum of square is equal to degrees of freedom of sum of square due to the treatment plus degrees of freedom for sum of square due to the block plus degrees of freedom of sum of square due to the error. So degrees of freedom of error will be calculated by minus this other terms into the total sum of square. So degrees of freedom for the error is, first, degrees of freedom for total sum of square is bv minus 1 minus this is the degrees of freedom for the treatment and this is the degrees of freedom for the block. So by simplification, here we get the degrees of freedom for error is b minus 1 and v minus 1. Therefore, the degrees of freedom for the sum of square due to the error is b minus 1 and v minus 1. Now we get all these degrees of freedom. After that, we will calculate the mean sum of square, and the mean sum of square is the ratio of sum of square divided by its degrees of freedom. So mean sum of square due to the treatment is sum of square sum of square due to the treatment divided by its degrees of freedom. Similarly, for the block degrees of freedom is b minus 1. So mean sum of square due to the block is sum of square due to the block divided by b minus 1, and mean sum of square due to the error is sum of square due to the error and its degrees of freedom is b minus 1 v minus 1. Thank you.